I've been unfaithful to my wife. I developed a relationship with what started as a dear, dear friend from Argentina.
Yes, and you're obviously hearing from the governor of South Carolina, Governor Sanford, who is, well, his political future probably ruined right now, and his personal future very much up in the air. And joining us now, political analyst Thom Serafin.
Good morning.
We talk about the politics of this. This is very much a soap opera right now, something that you've seen before with different people, but it was a very strange press conference yesterday.
Well, there's two stories here, and I see it from the old-fashioned sense. There's the love story. You know, most guys that do this, and I've been around a lot of legislators, and unfortunately I worked for Gary Hart back in the 80s. We were very close to the White House when he had his affair. Most of them are affairs, and unfortunately they're kind of bimbo eruptions. In this particular instance, you actually have a real love affair. It reminds me of King Edward when he abdicated the throne in England in 1936 with Wallace Simpson, a divorcee, double divorcee American. He left as King of England, Emperor of India. He left the great empire, to marry this woman and become Duke of Windsor. I mean, this is the same kind of love affair we're talking about here. This guy travels to Argentina, seen this woman 3 times. He knows what he's got going in South Carolina. He's a step away from the vice presidency if he wants that spot in 2012. He's a little farther away from the presidency for the Republican Party. He's head of the Republican conference, and he gives it all up to go down to Argentina and try to talk this out of it. He said yesterday at the news conference, which was painful to watch. Somebody wrote about it this morning, says watching a guy set himself on fire. He was so honest and so humble. That doesn't excuse him, but you saw a man just completely falling apart over love.
And yet he's still the governor.
Right.
How long do you think he'll last?
He doesn't have. The election is 2010. Listen, it's never over. Ted Kennedy's life should have been over in 1969 as a public official when he left a woman in the water off of Chappaquiddick. John Kennedy with Marilyn Monroe and all and the mafia girls inside the White House. I mean, Martin Luther King had his picadillos. It doesn't change the message of what these people represent, but the bottom line is America is always forgiving. And in this particular love story, you're going to see it on HBO. This is going to be a movie. It's going to be about, it's not so much about sex as it is about how this man has struggled with this. And he put it on, in front of everybody. And the honesty is incredible, but unfortunately, he's elected to represent the people of South Carolina. And you have to, you walk away from being selfish. I've been around Springfield legislators and Washington legislators, and unfortunately, it seems as though power is an aphrodisiac, and it's larger than it's ever been. And I would say, you know, even though 9 out of 10 people, according to the Gallup poll in America, don't like this kind of situation, they don't believe in adultery, obviously, I think probably a majority of people that are elected to public office today struggle with this issue, and some of them collapse. Look at Larry Craig. He showed up with his wife because he solicited men in a bathroom. He brought his wife out. McGreevey, the governor of New Jersey, had an affair with another man, brought his wife out. Yesterday, you didn't see the wife at the side. This is a little bit of a different situation, but painful for those children, painful for the people of South Carolina, and fatal to the governor.
Yeah, I mean, President Clinton.
Yeah, President Clinton. But those were bimbo eruptions. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, they weren't. It wasn't love. I mean, it wasn't, you weren't throwing yourself on the sword of love. Love is not supposed to do this to people, but it does do it. It's one of those tragic stories that you can write about and put movies together and people will cry in the theaters, but unfortunately, it's real-life tragedy for these people.
And obviously the 4 boys that he has, they're young kids, they're going to be affected by this.
And you know, they talk about the Republican Party, they talk about being moral, and they have the churchgoers, et cetera, but you know, that's politics. You had Governor Edwards, who was paying off his situation, his wife is suffering from cancer. So for every Democrat, there's a Republican. This is not partisan. What it really is a lack of morality in our elected public officials.
Absolutely. Well, between this and John and Kate plus 8, it's been a busy week. And I'm tired of these people coming out on TV and playing out the soap opera in front of everyone.
I remember what Christ said in the pastures, let he who without sin cast the first stone.
Absolutely.
We should remember that.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
All
Tom.
right. Thank you. Oh, I'm starting to sweat a little bit.